In this training video, we'll be learning how to upload map data into uMap. In this example, we'll be adding data that we have downloaded from Kobo as a GeoJSON format. We will be following the handout uploading map data, which is available on the training website as a PDF. Go to the uMap website and click on Login Sign In. Choose the OpenStreetMap button and log in using your OpenStreetMap account. If you already got some uMap maps, they should appear here on the dashboard. If not, click on Create Map. This will bring you to the uMap interface. On this side, we have a series of buttons that will allow us to zoom into the map once we've created. We've got the zoom in buttons here, which are similar to zoom in buttons in something like Google Earth. We have a search button where we can search for places such as Anglesey. We have a share button, which we'll be using later on to help share our map we've created. We've got a map layer button, which we'll be using to browse the layers of data we're going to add. If you click on this button here, it allows you to reveal more functions. It's best to click on the view full screen button at the moment at this point, so you can see all the different types of features you've got, including a measuring tool. Click escape. Over on this side, we have digitizing buttons that we're going to be using in a minute, and some functions to allow us to edit data that we're going to be using very soon. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to upload data that we've exported from Kobo. So we're going to click on the upload button here. And we're going to choose a file. So click on choose file. The data, then we need to navigate to where our data is actually kept. So we've downloaded the JSON file there. Import it into there. Scroll down here. Make sure we've chosen GeoJSON as the format and import into new layer. You can tap a new layer name in here, but I'm going to do that later on. Just click on import data. Click that off. So here we are. This should be familiar from the other videos. So these are the trees that we mapped around the Spark building in Cardiff. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, save the map. So click on Save, and then click on Untitled Map here and give it a name. Okay, we're going to call it Wizard Tree Survey. Okay, it's there, and we can put in a description of what the map is. It's a survey of trees around the Cardiff University Spark building. Okay, click on Save, click on Close, okay. And it should appear there. If you click on a particular point, it'll bring up either two icons. One is to delete the feature. We don't want to do that. And the other one is to actually edit the feature. Look at the edit mode. Click on the edit, and what it'll do, it'll bring up some information about the particular point. So don't forget these were trees. So here it has the questions that were in the Kobo survey, and it has the responses we put in for that tree in the Kobo survey. When we took a photograph or recorded a sound, it gives you the name of the file, the sound file and the picture file, the image file associated with that output. Those should have been downloaded with the Kobo survey. We'll be dealing with these in a separate video, and there's a separate handout on how you can link and attach things like sound files and video files and pictures to points on uMap. So we'll be doing that in a separate video. Click on close. Then click on manage layers. This will basically show you what layers we have currently in uMap. And we've only got one layer because we've only added one layer. And if you click on this button here, this will hide the layer or show the layer, so you can switch it on and off. This will zoom in. If you've zoomed out to the layer, it'll allow you to zoom in. This layer allows you to edit it, and we'll do that in a second. This one deletes it. Again, you don't want to do that. Click on this one. This is the table button. This will bring up the table of data associated with all the points on the map. So this is the data we've collected. So each row represents a point or a tree, and each column represents one of the questions that we used in the Kobo survey, as you can see. If you hover over the label, it allows you to either delete that column or to edit it. So it's a way of editing the table. So we don't necessarily need all these columns. So for instance, we don't particularly want the columns to do with the start and end dates here. So we can delete them. If you want to delete them, just hover over the label, click on delete, and it'll delete that particular column. It won't delete, it's only deleting the column on the map, the layer on the map. It's not deleting the data in your GeoJSON file, which is still safe on your computer. We can also edit the names of the columns. So if we want to change the names of the columns, so for instance, we might want to change this to photo of tree. So it's easy enough to change the columns. Okay. We can change the columns if there's any sort of spelling mistakes as well. We could also edit the information in the cells. So for instance, if there's a spelling mistake or someone's put something rude in it, we can edit it out if we want to at this point. We can also add in a new column. Click on add. So we might want to add a new column in to say whether or not the tree that we surveyed was on the street or in a private property. So we can call this column add tree is in a private garden, because we know that one of our trees was in a private garden. Click OK. That would create a column here. And then what we can do is we can go through and identify the trees which were on the street or in the private garden. Now I know from memory that it was this one that was in the private garden and the rest weren't. So it's just a way of, you can add new data to your survey inside uMap. Okay. Once you've done all sorts of edits, it's important to remember to save it, or if you want to sort of revert back to the original, cancel edits. I'm just going to save the edits there. We can close the table by clicking on the cross arrow there. The next thing we're going to do, we're just going to change some of the information or properties about the layer. So click on the edit button here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to give it a proper name from layer 1. Now you could have done this when you imported the data, and we can do it now. So we're just going to remove a layer 1, and we call it the wizard tree layer. Okay. Okay. And we can save that. Okay, so it's now called the wizard tree layer. And we can add in more layers later on, which we're going to be doing in another practical. Now, at the moment, we've got these default icons, which aren't very exciting. So we can actually change what the icons look like. So click on shape properties. These are called shapes. The first thing we can do is we can change the color to something more appropriate. So we can change it to forest green, as it's a tree. So as you can see, there's lots of different colors you could have chosen from there. We can also change the shape of the icon. So by default, it's this sort of square with a little point at the bottom. We can turn them into circles, or drops, or balls. I'm going to choose a drop because the third thing I want to do is actually change the symbol itself to something more appropriate. If you click on define icon symbol, you've got all these variety of different symbols here you can choose, and one including nature. So I'm going to choose the deciduous tree icon. Now, you can only change the icon symbol if you use a drop or the default shape. It won't work for a circle or ball. Okay, that's why I used that for. So I can use that. And then opacity determines whether or not you can, how transparent the symbol is. Sometimes you might want to be able to see through it. I'm just going to use quite a strong opacity there. Okay. And the remaining options are for lines and for areas rather than for points. Again, I'm going to save that for now. It's worth saving as you go along. So I've now changed my icons to something a bit more appropriate, as in trees. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change something called interaction options. Okay. This allows you to click on the points and bring information up. So first of all, I want to define what the pop-up is going to look like. You've got a small pop-up, a large pop-up, or a side panel. I'm going to choose a large pop-up. And then in terms of the content, because I want to show the table of data associated with the points, the data we collected in the Kobo survey, I'm going to choose table. I'm going to then save it. Okay, close it down. If we were then to click view and to click on a tree, it'll then bring up all the information that we collected about the trees in the Kobo survey. Isn't that clever? You can see. Again, you might want to get rid of some of these information that you don't need by going back into the table and deleting the columns that we did earlier. If you want to see what it looks like with a side panel, go back into edit, click on manage layers, edit, go down to interaction options, and you can click on side panel instead of pop-up shape. Click up save. And what will this now do is bring up, if you go into view, let's go into view first, it'll then display the information as a side panel, which is quite useful if you want to compare information for different trees. Okay. And then you can just close it down.